What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Command and Control with your man here, Chosen Commander Miko. Today we'll be talking about Week 2 overreactions starting now. All right. So, Week 2 brought a lot of great football. We saw an amazing early slate, which I think could be one of the best early slates throughout the whole season. And with that being said, a lot of great football was played yesterday. We saw 13 games yesterday, and it did not disappoint. Probably the Sunday night football game was the most disappointing. I'm gonna just hold the mic. Hold up, y'all. Yeah. Maybe the Sunday night game was the most disappointing. But besides that game, it was just bangers throughout the whole night, throughout the whole day. Games like the Cowboys and the Giants, a thriller all the way down to the end of the game. Other games such as the Chiefs and Eagles that were more of a defensive slugfest, but nonetheless still a good game. We just were blessed with a lot of great football yesterday. But with football always comes overreactions, and that's our job as fans to do, overreact. So I piled up a bevy of questions today, and I'm going to answer them for you. Just some. Are they overreactions or are they more logical than overreactions? I will give you my thoughts and takes on them now. The first question, and probably the most recent, is it time for the Vikings to hit the panic button on J.J. McCarthy? Me, I do not believe that's the case. In my eyes, J.J. McCarthy is still a rookie. He is still a rookie. He just got finished with his second playoff game. Not playoff game, I'm sorry. He just got finished with his second NFL game, his second NFL start. And he had close to a week to prepare for it. But this was technically a short week for him. He had 2 games in the span of 6 weeks. In the span of 6 days. So, with that being said, I just feel like JJ is still a rookie in my eyes. Yeah, he had the year to sit behind and learn and whatnot, but there's nothing like getting actual game time reps. And even the reps he was getting in the preseason were not against the best of the best. A lot of times it was second stringers or third stringers. They just wanted to get his feet wet. But now he is playing against the best of the best in the league. And it has shown in the past 8 quarters he's played, he has looked really bad in 7 of them. That fourth quarter against the Bears really saved the sort of stories that could be written about JJ. And I just think it's going to take time. He went up against a division rival. It's always tough playing division rivals. And it was an away game. It was a night game. So I feel like that's a tough ask. And then this was his first home game, but that Falcons defense looked legit. The pressure they was getting on him, and then plus he had a makeshift O-line. He didn't look comfortable the whole night. He was missing throws. It just wasn't a good look. But I don't think Vikings fans need to worry too much about JJ. To me, he's still a rookie. The only experience he really has is sitting on the bench and soaking in things that maybe Sam Darnold was telling him. But like I said, game reps is much different than mental reps. Both are important, but you definitely need an equal amount of both in order to be successful. And plus, we all heard the soundbite last week. He's already kind of getting in his own head. He's telling Justin Jefferson, don't give up on me. And with the teammate like Justin Jefferson, we all saw the frustration last night. But he's reaffirming in him. He's like, we're not going to give up on you. Just go out there, do what you could do. We understand you're basically a rookie. We're here for you. We're your guys. We're your vets. This is your team, but you have our support. So I think with the great supporting cast, I think he might have a couple more tough weeks to go, but Kevin O'Connell is amazing with quarterbacks. I think they'll figure out a game plan that fits JJ, and I think he'll get clicking and going real soon. I truly do. The second question, and the question that I probably hate most, obviously, as a Commanders fan, is it time to panic about not only Jaden Daniels, but that Commanders offense? And the obvious answer, to me, is no. That was a two-part question, so I'm going to give you a two-part answer. Jaden Daniels, it's not time to panic on Jaden. Nowhere near time. As someone who has watched the previous two games, the only thing that is not even concerning me, but something that I have noticed is the accuracy concerns that sometimes, especially across the middle of the field, the intermediate throws to like Zach Ertz. You know, he doesn't completely throw the ball behind his guy, but he does throw it a touch behind to where if the receiver does go for the ball and it falls through his hands or whatnot, it's a possibility that it could be tipped. And then at that point, it's tip drill. And, you know, teams work on tip drills a lot. So I don't want it to be a situation where it's crucial. We need it. He throws it intermediate. And then next thing you know, it's a little behind Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz tries to make an acrobatic catch. The ball gets tipped in the air, and then it's going the other way. But besides that, no real concerns about Jaden himself. However, the offense, I just think it's a lack of execution. In week one, I believe that it was too many penalties. We had either over 100 yards worth of penalties or we were close. Week one, it was too many penalties. We kept shooting ourselves in the foot. You know, we gave the Giants too many chances on defense to consistently be in the game and affect the game, when we should have had the chance to be run away with the game, let Marcus Mariota get some game reps. So that was the case in week one. Week two, it was just this wasn't execution. It was a lack of a game plan as far as the offense. The same thing happened last year when we played the Eagles on Thursday Night Football around week 10 to 12, somewhere around that range. Just a lack of game plan. And Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels, they are two guys that really focus on game planning for a game. You know, they are really big upon planning for a game. So I think the short weeks and the lack of preparation, shall I say, or the lack of time to prepare really affects the way they go into the games. And last year in the regular season, you could argue that Thursday Night Football game was our worst game. And this year, I hope that's our worst game because we look pretty bad. The score was 27-18, but it could have been way worse. From the offense perspective, it was, I mean, let's just state the obvious. The offensive line looked horrible, but that's because the game plan was horrible. There's no reason why Josh Connolly Jr. should not be getting help on every single play that Michael Parsons is lined up across from him. He should have never been able to have a one-on-one opportunity with Josh Connolly Jr. Yet he had him consistently throughout the game, and we allowed him to game wreck the game because of a lack of a game plan. The offensive play calling was vanilla. If you go back and look at Jaden Daniels' passing chart, a lot of them were within 10 yards. We did not threaten that Packers defense. And a big reason as to why we couldn't threaten that Packers defense vertically is because of the lack of time for Jaden Daniels. But even then, with Jaden Daniels, accuracy was an issue. The only two guys who really came up to play on offense that day were Zach Ertz and Deebo Samuel. We got away from the run game. You know, even drops. Noah Brown, he didn't showcase strong hands. He was easily getting the ball knocked away from him. So I just think it was a overall team effort on offense as to why they look so bad. And as to why the first 2 weeks of the season hasn't been the best. But I do expect them to get back on track soon in week 3 against the Vegas Raiders. But to answer the question, no, I don't think it's time to panic about either Jaden Daniels or that Commanders offense. Is it time to do away with the Chiefs? Are the Chiefs as we know them done? I don't believe so. I just think that it's the same sort of Chiefs that we've seen in the previous 2 seasons or the previous couple seasons. The offense obviously isn't the same as it was a couple years ago. But they have a defense that is going to keep them in a lot of games. Now, if the defense regressed or if the defense just looked bad, then possibly you could have that argument since the offense isn't there to really propel the defense. But the defense right now is propelling the offense. And even though a lot of people might not want to hear it, when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, there's always a chance. Now, it is a bit concerning that this is Patrick Mahomes' first start going 0-2 to start off a season since his high school days. So that's a bit concerning, but we'll just have to see what type of team that the Chiefs really are with this type of adversity. I don't expect them to fold. They play someone next week. They play the Giants next week on Sunday Night Football. Should be the perfect opportunity to get their first win and finally get a win in the left column, put a 1 in the left column. And so I don't think the Chiefs are done, nowhere near done this season. They they've had 2 really good opponents to start off the year. The Chargers look good, the offense was moving, that defense looked good. They look like the Chargers look like they could actually put something together this year, and the Eagles are the reigning Super Bowl champs. They beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl last February for the Super Bowl. I mean, so 2 real formidable opponents. We're just not used to seeing the Chiefs go down 0-2. We're really used to them looking like a robot. Like, no matter what can happen, they won't lose. And that's just not the case so far. But like I said, they have a possible get-right game against the Giants. Hopefully they don't think it's just going to be an easy win. The Giants are going to put up a fight. But probably 80% of people are going to put their money on the Chiefs, rightfully so. As far as that offense, injuries and suspensions have really derailed what that offense is right now. You know, with Rashee Rice being out and Xavier Worthy, he was out yesterday. Your number one target, your number one receiver is Tyquan Thornton and Juju Smith-Schuster in 2025. That just can't cut it. Travis Kelce woke up yesterday, but when you needed him most, usually that angle route in the red zone between him and Mahomes is money, you know, but this time around, Mahomes threw it. Trav didn't get his hands prepared in enough time. It bounced off, and it was an interception going the other way from the Eagles' 3-yard line to about midfield. And it really should have been a pick 6 if it wasn't for rookie Josh Simmons hawking down other rookie Andrew Makuba. So, yeah, the Chiefs just got to find a way to get things clicking on offense. Obviously, it doesn't look like the same high-powered offense, but I do think once they get, hopefully, if they get back to full power, you know, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster, I think that the offense will start back to clicking, and the defense is going to do what they're going to do on that side of the field, and that everything will start meshing together, and we will see the same old Chiefs back in the regular playoffs and always putting up fights and possibly ending up in another Super Bowl. Are the Green Bay Packers the team to beat in the NFC? Ooh. Is that an overreaction? I don't think so. I think what it is, though, is recency bias. I will say that. And, teams don't have film on that Packers defense for real. Michael Parsons came out, played a bit in week 1, and then they had a short week in week 2 that, the Commanders probably didn't have time to prepare for. I addressed the Commanders earlier. They really don't prepare well for Thursday night. So basically, two teams went in perplexed by what the Packers could have shown on defense with the new addition of Michael Parsons. With Michael Parsons on one side, the Packers already had an elite rusher in Rashawn Gary, but now it is kind of like what we've seen in the past couple seasons, having LeBron and AD, LeBron and Luka, Kyrie and AD, Dame and Giannis. Like, when you bring another superstar to a team, you kind of have to pick your poison. It's just that in this case, Micah is the highest paid non-quarterback in the league for a reason. So obviously teams are going to hone in to Micah. And with that happening, that allows for Rashawn Gary to eat. And even if you hone in to both of those guys, if it's an obvious passing situation, the Packers have put out a package to where now Luka Van Ness, an edge rusher, is getting one-on-one reps with the guard on the inside. And obviously, 9 out of 10 times, he's going to win that matchup because he's an edge rusher. That's his job. He is a pass rusher. So with him doing that, it creates a hard situation for offensive coordinators, especially on obvious passing situations, because that defense flies around. They're so fast and they're physical. They stop the run. They do an amazing job on the first 2 downs to put you in obvious passing situations to where they just let their dogs go hunt. They let their hounds loose. And, in that situation, it's hard to do much because Michael Parsons, he rushes the way he wants to rush. He right now, with him being new, they saying, Micah, just go get after him. And that's what he's doing. Micah might go inside one play. He might go outside one play. Either way, most likely that tackle is holding. So he's going to draw either a penalty or he's running after your quarterback. Pick your poison. If it's not Micah, like I said, it might be Rashawn Gary. He might be coming on the other side, raising havoc. And just wait until they start putting those two on the same side. Just wait till they start putting those two on the same side. Luka Van Ness is really eating off the attention from both guys, really. And the other guys on the inside that they might have rushing, they're eating off that as well. So I don't think that's an overreaction. I just think that's the natural thought right now. But we will see as the season goes on, as more film is put out, what the Packers do and how they really look. And if they continue to look the way that they've looked today, if they continue to look the way they've looked the previous 2 weeks throughout the whole season, watch out. We could be talking about another Lombardi for the Packers this season. The last overreaction. Are the Bengals running out of luck with Joe Burrow? I don't think that's the case. And what I mean by that is not is Joe Burrow going to regress or anything crazy like that, no. But do I think a lot of people could be speculating that Burrow could want out of Cincinnati since they didn't build an O-line around him? He has been there for 6 years and they have yet to build an O-line around him. And I don't think that's the case. I think Joe has everything he wants. This is what he wanted. When you pay Joe the amount of money he got, you make Jamar the highest paid receiver in the league at $40 million a year. And then you go and pay T $28, $29 million a year. It's not much else that the front office could do to construct the O-line besides just draft amazingly. So the O-line is atrocious. We all knew this, but I do think they need to just hone into drafting some sort of formidable line for Joe. It was too many times. It's been too many times this season alone where he snaps the ball and he's already running for his life. Like, he's already just, it's already a couple defenders in his face within the first second and a half of snapping the ball. So, yeah, I just think they have to find a way to make a formidable line around him while keeping it within cap space. But that just sounds hard, and it's a hard job, but that's what they get paid to do. Because I don't know if you heard the question I asked. I use Luck because this is starting to look real reminiscent of Andrew Luck. Obviously different. Andrew Luck went through a lot of concussions and whatnot, a lot of neurological things that affected his football career. And a lot of his has been actual ligaments and whatnot. Like, he tore his, what was it, ACL or Achilles his rookie year. Now he's dealing with the turf toe that is going to require him to get surgery, send him out for at least the next 3 months. So the next time we could even think about seeing Burrow is mid-December. And if the Bengals aren't playing that well, let's say it's week 15, week 16, and they're 4-11 or 5-10, or shall I say 4-10, 5-9, and there is no way they could possibly make a push for the playoffs, then there's no reason for Burrow. We won't see Burrow until next season, probably the playoffs. I mean the preseason. But if the Bengals are like, let's say 7-7, 8-6, then we'll see Burrow, and hopefully he comes back and he finishes off the season good, and we will see the Bengals in the playoffs. But for now, the next 3 months, the starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals is Jake Browning. So he led them to a win yesterday. They were down 14-7 when he came in. He came in through 3 interceptions, and they still won 31-27. Don't ask me how they did it. But, you know, Jake Brown has been there for some years. He knows the system well. One of the best backups in the league. So he's more than capable of leading that team to a good record, or at least a decent record. Just a record that will be good enough until Burrow comes back. And he has the supporting cast around him to do it. The only problem is the offensive line. They have to find a way to get a formidable offensive line around those quarterbacks by next season. They have to find a way to do it this offseason. They just need to scout offensive linemen, to be honest. But yeah, those are all the overreaction questions I had. Let me know your thoughts and what you possibly think in the comment section. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Instagram. Same handles on all of them. And yeah, until then, thank you for watching with your boy Miko on Commanding Control. Until then, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.